getting into some pros and cons, yeah, I'll briefly cover these here because you can take one of these bullets and you can unpack it and you can have a 20 to 30 minute, even longer conversation about a lot of these bullets. You could see here in this first block, that was everything that we just listed on the last slide. But these are important things, whether you're an athlete or whether you're a general person looking to just be healthier. Zone 2 aerobic training increases these things, and you increase these things, you become a healthier individual. So if you are reading this PowerPoint and watching this presentation, please don't think I'm only talking to just regular athletes. I'm talking to the general population as well. Zone 2 aerobic training is incredibly important. It's a big deal, and it'll make you better. Better person, better health, and a better, healthier person. And that really plays into what you can see is there's a decreased risk of the following. And I think everybody, athletes, moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, you name it, whoever it is, we can all benefit from having a decreased risk in all of these categories here. And we can all agree that all of these are bad. Nothing good comes from them. And if there is something like Zone 2 aerobic training we can do about it, we should be doing it. So these are definitely a lot of the pros that to Zone 2 aerobic training that relate specifically to being an athlete as well as just general health overall. And for the cons over here, Zone 2 aerobic training, we'll talk about it a little bit here on the next slide, but it's not a panacea. It's not going to cure everything for the athlete. It's not just going to make you better. If you focus on just the Zone 2 aerobic training, you only get proficient in one energy system. In order to be a great athlete, endurance athlete, football player, like I keep mentioning, you need to have proficiency in all of these zones. You need to be able to perform well. If you focus just on the Zone 2 aerobic training, you'll lose a lot of that dynamic ability to perform. You'll lose a lot of that ability to produce power for whatever it is in your sport. You need to spend time in those other energy systems in order to be a better athlete. And Arthur Lydiard definitely came under a lot of scrutiny for proposing this base model because some of the things that he were doing that science has come back on the backside and said they just weren't necessary, but Arthur Lydiard was having himself and some of his athletes running up to 200 and 300 mile weeks. And that's just an incredibly high volume of training, and it comes with a huge amount of risk, injury risk that's involved with it. So at the end of the day, volume needs to be managed inside of Zone 2. It needs to be carefully managed because if you just throw too much at it, there's a high chance for injury. You get an injury, the long-term side effects of that, you start to lose adherence to whatever exercise program that you're doing. You start to lose the consistency, and then you don't get any benefit, and then you start to suffer from a lot of these things that we talked about over here. And it can be mitigated as long as that progression is managed. All this stuff can be mitigated with the ACSM Fit VP principle. Won't get into the specifics on this, but it boils down to frequency, intensity, type, time of exercise, and then the volume and progression. It's a real simple math formula, but it helps athletes keep that progression under the no more than 15% per week, so you can help mitigate that. But because it is, we see all these good things over here, and we think we need to do as much as we possibly can. There is an injury risk, but do make sure with you are managing that progression. Otherwise, this is an incredible drawback to the Zone 2 aerobic training. And you can see here for the general population, we still have this increased injury risk due to the higher volume. That's especially applicable to the general population. And the other thing for the general population that, elite athletes or collegiate athletes or even like high school athletes don't have to deal with, if you're someone like myself that's a husband and a father to 4 kids, all under 8, the higher time requirement. A lot of times you just don't have the time to be able to put in to log all these minutes or miles in order to reap the benefits of Zone 2 aerobic training. So it's absolutely a con, and it's something that you have to take into consideration when you're designing an exercise program or doing your exercise program. You have to look at that time required, and unfortunately Zone 2 aerobic training does require a big time commitment in order to get the benefits that you're looking for.